Okay, so we're gonna put brand new needles on the machine. So excuse me for fumbling here, but just stick a brand new needle in there. Okay, so put a new needle in there the right way. You guys know that the scarf goes in the back of the needle and the hole should be directly straight forward to the machine. And then you engage this needle. So you just kind of bring it all the way down until it engages. So when it engages, it kind of locks into place. And that's what you want. Okay? And then you're going to loosen the bottom collar. This bottom collar, you're going to loosen this one with your Phillips screwdriver. And then the next thing you're going to do is make sure that this angle is equal to or similar to this angle. I call it 5 o'clock. It's kind of at 5 o'clock. It's not quite 6 o'clock. So you just adjust that to sort of match that angle. And that's when I said to put the needle in, but I've got to actually move that needle. And put the needle on actually belongs on a different. That goes up here. Okay, so in your toolkit you also have one of these, which is the gauge. Okay, so go find yourself the little gauge. And now what we have to do is physically put this into kind of where you would put the bobbin case. Okay, and you're going to turn this gauge round side up, lower the needle to touch with light pressure. Okay, so right now my needle isn't down far enough to even touch the top of this bar. So what we have to do is lower it. Lower the entire bar. I don't think it's down far enough. Why isn't it going down? This is not easy, guys. This is like kind of a difficult thing. Okay, sort of. Woo! I think it went down way too far. Why did my neighbor move? That I don't know. Okay, hold on. Not sure why my neighbor moved, but I'm going to undo this one a little bit. Okay. Why isn't that moving? Oh, that's the wrong one. Okay. It went way too deep. Kind of hard here. Oh gosh, that's not good. If you hear that kind of noise, it's just a little too low. And at the same time, you got to keep this thing angled the right way. So it's kind of a hard little. This is pretty much the hardest thing right here is to do. Is this? Okay, guys. It's down. It's up. It's like. Okay, so let's try that again. Here's the gauge. So it needs to go where it's not touching the needle if there's no pressure. Do you see I'm not putting any pressure on this wheel? So the needle and the gauge are not touching. But if I were to press lightly in an upward position here and spin it slowly, if they engage, it's perfect. Right now, not perfect because they're not even touching. So this isn't down low enough. But every time I try to push it low, nope, it's not low enough either.
Okay, I'm gonna play. Let me see your screen.
No?
Go back.
Okay, I think I'm almost there. Okay, so spinning it, no pressure, not touching. Perfect. But if I were to make a slight movement up on this gauge, do you see how it's engaging my needle? That means we're in a good spot. Do you see how it's slightly moving my needle? We're good. If I take pressure off this gauge and it's not touching, we're good to go. But if I slightly push it up and it engages my tip of my needle, we're good. Once you find that, go up here and tighten that screw down because, boy, you don't want that to move again. Okay? So once everything is good, you can take the gauge out. Okay? And there's those two tests that I just told you, like with no pressure, doesn't touch, with a little bit of pressure up, it has to catch that edge where the flat meets the round. Okay, if the adjustment is done, go back to the side of the machine, turn the wheel to 355, which is NU, which means needle up. So take this bar out first, because you won't get anywhere with it in your machine. Put this on where it says NU. It says NU right there, NU, 355. After you do that, okay, now the next adjustment, the last adjustment here is right here. It's between the collars, right? So it's like sort of like the lower collar, the upper collar. And this is where I always need help, because you can't have any play. Between these two, you can't have any play. And I have a hard time because I have fingernails. So I'm going to have my father help me. But essentially what you want to do is push up on this, at the same time push down on that. And so there's no play. But I just can't seem to make this adjustment. So I'm going to have my dad do that adjustment. Where's my dad?
That's my dad.
No, don't go that way. Oh, yeah.
And so watch my dad do this. It's like the upper and the lower. He sticks his finger in there, but since I'm a girl, I just can't do it. Sticks his finger. The black one goes in the up position. The lower one goes in the down position. He tightens the screw at the same time. And then see how there's no play? That's what you want. So he's just going to give it a little tiny bit of a tightening. But show them how there's like no play.
Dude, we should hang out.
See how there's no play? So that's what you want. Once that is done, you are done. And then you got to walk back over to the side of the machine and put the machine back on 100, which is the red zone. Okay, you want that arrow to be on the red zone. So again, just turn it till you can get it there. Oops. Let's see if I can get it there by myself without.
Don't run into
Okay, so it's at 100. We're good to go there. And then you walk back and you start all over again. You go back to step number 1. That's how you do the timing on this machine.
So now we gotta go to the next needle.
Don't jump over the yellow.